Were you expecting this?
I haven't read the report. It's difficult to comment on a report you've not read, so I didn't know what to expect. I find effectively civil servants sacking a minister, which is what's happened, quietly disturbing, because one of the great myths in our political life is that we have a non-political civil service. They're non-party political, but each department, the civil service as a whole, have a non-party political agenda. And when governments try to implement their manifestos that they've been properly elected upon, there is a whole history of civil servants, the civil service, trying to undermine that. And I don't know the nuts and bolts of what happened in the Justice Secretary's office, but I find the complaints against an elected politician leading to his sacking very worrying. And I think the Labour Party, at one level, we will cheer that another minister has bitten the dust. At a deeper level, we should be very concerned if we get into power at the next election with a radical manifesto that the civil service don't agree with in whole or parts, then I think we should be worried that we will be undermined.
Yes, I think that's a very important point. Very often we're speaking about some sort of vague left-wing bias in the civil service. It might be more accurate to describe it as a status quo bias. And if there was a radical reforming government in any direction coming in, the civil service would just be anxious or resisting to that big change.
I think it's slightly different from status quo. If you look at the Treasury has always believed in privatisation. The Foreign Office has always believed we should join and remain within the European Union. As far as after the referendum, the permanent secretary of the Foreign Office telling the assembled civil servants that he and they knew that the electorate had got it wrong. That is no business of a civil servant to say that. One of the interesting things about Dominic Raab when he was Foreign Secretary, as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I asked him whether he found the civil servants in the Foreign Office loyal and satisfactory, because they were essentially remain central. They will remain central, and he was very loyal to them. Said they were working for him in public. I think all politicians would be better publicly recognising that the civil service is not always loyal to policy. Certainly the Foreign Office wasn't. There is a lot of evidence of other departments that they're wedded to particular policies, and if they don't like what the minister or the government is doing, they drag their feet.
Just finally, Graham Stringer, is that you saying that at that Foreign Affairs Committee meeting, you would have preferred to hear the former Foreign Secretary say, no, my civil servants aren't working for me. I don't think that all of them are loyal.
I'm not sure he would have put it in those exact words, but to recognise that there are difficulties, that sometimes the views, collective and individually, of civil servants come to the surface and make it difficult. I think we want honesty and openness in politics, and I think we should get away from this pretense that civil servants always follow the manifesto of the elected government. I mean, I can give you another example on Remain. Just very quickly, the head of the civil service refused to prepare papers on what would happen if this country voted to leave. That really was a political decision by the civil service, which wouldn't happen before a general election.